The concept of job evaluation is an interesting but often confused concept in human resources. Oftentimes, individuals feel that job evaluation is the same thing as performance evaluation, but it's far from it. Welcome to today's episode of HR Insight, where I simplify human resource concepts. Today we're going to be looking at how to conduct job evaluation. The whole idea is to be able to demystify and break down the concept of job evaluation in human resources to the simplest form that you would be able to get clarity as to what job evaluation is about. So what is job evaluation? Job evaluation is a systematic process for determining the relative worth or size of jobs within an organization. This is the number one difference between job evaluation and when we talk about performance appraisal or performance evaluation. Performance evaluation is looking at the person in the job, doing the job, performing the job. But job evaluation has to do with the job itself. We are looking at the job, not the person in the role. So when we now want to determine the relative worth, remember, a job is the smallest unit of an organization, and each of those jobs exists for a purpose. And in trying to understand which job is more important, in quote, than the other job, that's the process of job evaluation. Relative worth. We call it internal relativity. Internal equity. We need to be sure that a man that is carrying 10 buckets and another person that is carrying 10 buckets is paid equally. For that to be possible, to have an equitable pay structure, for you to be able to be sure of equal pay for equal work done, then your job evaluation is a critical factor in ensuring an equitable grade structure leading to a fair equal pay structure itself. The goal of job evaluation is to compare jobs with each other. Job A, job B, you're carrying 10 buckets, I'm carrying 5 buckets. Relative worth of each of the jobs, in order to create what we call an hierarchical order of jobs, which we call your job grading structure. So we now come up with an hierarchical order of jobs to say all jobs that are fresh entry level roles, they are in one grade structure. Jobs that has X numbers of years, X numbers of education, they're in another grade structure. And you have that hierarchy to the highest job within the organization. That is the idea behind doing your job evaluation. Then the end goal is that the job grading structure will now be useful to creating your pay structure. So why job evaluation? Job evaluation provides the basis for one, designing an equitable job grade and pay structure. The operational word is equitable job grade and pay structure. This is also useful to managing job and pay relativity. So the question is often asked, why should I pay Mr. A 10 naira and pay Mrs. B 20 naira? The watchword is equal job for equal work done, because that is what the whole idea of the job evaluation is about. We want to look at the content of the job of Mr. A and Mrs. B, or job A and job B, and be able to ensure that job A and job B are of equal weight relative to each other. So the concept of job evaluation is relative to an organization. So the concept of job evaluation is relative to an organization because it helps you to design an equitable job grade and pay structure for that organization. It helps you to be able to manage job and pay relativity within that organization, and it also helps in guiding the achievement of equal pay for equal value, the value of the job, relative worth. I want to be sure I'm comparing apples to apples and not apples to oranges. So guidelines for job evaluation. In order to do a job evaluation successfully, you need to follow a few guidelines. You start from this. You will look at the job as it exists today. When you're doing job evaluation, the aim is to look at the job as it exists today, not tomorrow. You are not interested in evaluating the job or looking at the relative worth of the job based on what the job will become tomorrow, but you're looking at it as it exists today. Then you need to look at the job and not the person. When you're looking at the person, then you're talking about performance evaluation, performance appraisal. But when you're looking at the job as it exists today, that is job evaluation. Then you need to disregard the current pay and status of the role. There is no way you will look at the current pay and status of the role that you will not be biased in your evaluation process. That's why most of the time the evaluation process is usually anchored by an independent consultant, because we need to be sure of objectivity. So you need to disregard the current pay and the status, because you are looking at the job, not the person, because the possibility of the person making the job bigger than it is there. So you need to disregard. Then we need to consider fully acceptable performance in the role. What is the minimum requirement for that role? What is the measure of performance? Because when we're able to set those criteria, we will now be able to do it based on factors, which we often call compensable factors, to now compare each of the job to now arrive at what we call the relative worth. Then it's also critical that if you do not have job information, there is no way you can do a job evaluation. It's not possible. The next thing to consider is, so how do you go about a job evaluation process? So how do you conduct job evaluation? The starting point of the job evaluation process is to gather job information. Remember, no job information, no job evaluation. So your job analysis must be thorough. Your job analysis leading to your job description, having a comprehensive job description, understanding the relationship of the jobs within the organization. That is the number one thing. Without your job information, there is no evaluation. Then you now need to go to the point of deciding the evaluation methodology, the job evaluation methodology. Now, the job evaluation methodology it differs. We have an analytical method of job evaluation and a non-analytical method of job evaluation. This we're going to be considering at a later episode. But the whole idea of today's episode is to break down the process to you. Then you now go to the point of doing the job grading structure itself, arriving at the final destination, the hierarchical order of jobs. Yes, I know that at this point the episode is getting a little bit long, so I've decided I'm going to be taking this as the first part of a series on job evaluation. The next episode I'm going to be covering the job evaluation methodology. Then I will go to the point of sharing examples of job evaluation methodology, talking about the various methodologies that are available. Then we'll be able to drill down. Thank you very much for watching today's episode, and see you in the next episode.